This is the Transformers Generations War for Cybertron Trilogy Earthrise 2-pack of Earth Mode Ironhide and Prowl. Here's a quick look at the packaging. Before we begin the review, in case anybody's interested, the map that came with this set shows off the Nebulon station. And here are Earthrise Ironhide and Prowl out of packaging. Boy, do these figures look absolutely amazing. I have a few issues, very minor issues with both figures. More issues with Ironhide though, but we'll talk about those later. Right now, let's just appreciate how amazing these figures look. I've already reviewed the blue streak, so I know this Prowl looks absolutely spot on. It's absolutely terrific. I have very little gripes, very little problems and complaints with the robot mode. Ironhide is a retool of the Siege Ironhide. Now they've given him a shield, a smaller blaster pistol, and a fantastic new alt mode, Earth mode, alt mode. Look at that new chest. It is so G1. I hate to admit it, but I think the pairing of these two is just absolutely amazing. I think Hasbro did a fantastic job. I just wish they didn't make these exclusives. Had they made these as mass retail products sold at all stores, they would have made a killing on this set because they look great. Let's begin with Prowl. If you've seen my Blue Streak review, this figure looks absolutely gorgeous, done in the Prowl colors, black and white police colors. The articulation is going to be the same as Blue Streak. It is a heavy retool of the original Datsun Siege mold with a brand new head sculpt, brand new pieces everywhere. They just borrowed the engineering here and there, but most of the pieces for this mold are absolutely brand new, and look at that fantastic head sculpt. Paint apps, nothing to complain about. You got that nice Autobot logo. It's mostly a flat white finish. It's not as glossy as the original Siege version. The top part of the bonnet is glossy. You get some clear plastic here and there. And he comes with an unpainted white plastic G1-esque blaster pistol, which is fine. I wish they could have painted it silver, but you know, it's okay. There's no silver paint on the figure, so I guess that's why they couldn't paint it silver. My only gripe with this figure, if at all, is probably the same as my Blue Streak review, and it's this peg right here, the shoulder joint where it's supposed to just tab in and stay there. It feels a little loose, but because this particular part of the torso is recessed a little bit to the back, the friction from this piece is kind of holding that shoulder joint sort of in place better than the Blue Streak figure. And here he is with his Siege counterpart, Siege Prowl. You can see the great big difference on them. The wings actually looking much better on this version. The feet, just like Blue Streak. The gun is much better. Everything else is so much better. Even the head sculpt. I love this head sculpt. But if you're going to be staying true to the Earth mode, Prowl, how he looked like on Earth in the first 3 seasons, or first 2 seasons of Transformers in the 80s, this is the dead-on, spot-on head sculpt for Prowl. The Siege figure was already amazing, and Hasbro and Takara Tomy come and improve it with an Earthrise version. There's really nothing more you can ask for. One last look before we go to Ironhide. And now on to Ironhide. I mean, I loved the original Siege mold, and this one borrows heavily from that. We'll get to that Siege figure in a little while, but I like him. I like that he's so beefy and chunky, and that's how he was in G1, in the cartoon. I love this new chest. The head sculpt, he's rocking a very nice G1-esque Earth mode head sculpt. He comes with several accessories, which are, well, similar but kind of new to us. The shield is pretty much new. You can extend the sort of thrusters or blasters out right there. It's sort of like a riot shield. Very nice. it's interesting. It kind of feels like it's a parts former, but I'm actually kind of okay with it for some reason. The original G1 toy actually was a parts former. The weapons array was the base of the vehicle, and for the Earthrise War for Cybertron Trilogy version, they reversed it and turned the top of the car, or the roof of the car, as a weapon array, or as a weapon. So that's the shield. You can store it on the back if you do choose so it's not obstructing anything. Remove that. He has this blaster pistol, which is just a remold, repaint of what we've gotten with Siege Ratchet. Ratchet had a silver gun just exactly like this, and you can store it on any of the pegs here and there. If you had purchased the Generation Select Centurion drone, that figure came with a weaponizer pack that has the arm-mounted drill that Ironhide uses on the show, the 80s cartoon. So that's pretty cool. Get that out of the way. Okay, articulation for the figure is probably the same as a Siege figure, so we're not going to talk too much about it. One thing I did notice is the neck joint is still tight. On my copy of the figure, it can barely move up and down. It feels like it's a swivel joint, but it's supposed to be a ball joint. Everything else is the same as the Siege Ironhide, but there is some looseness in some of the joints, which is a little bit of a shame. It can hinder posing the figure. It can be quite a nuisance sometimes in getting him into certain poses. But other than that, most of the joints are fairly tight. Not super tight, but good enough for posing. Here he is with the Siege Ironhide. And as you can see, he does come across as much beefier. He's got a bigger girth, better chest or torso. Colors, you will notice, this is more of a muted red, sort of like a matte red. This is a glossy fire truck fire hydrant red. My comment about the paint apps and color scheme of this figure is the shoulders. Much like the Siege version, the shoulders, I believe, they shouldn't have molded it black. They should have molded it in the same red plastic as the forearm. That would have made a more complete and homogeneous color scheme for Ironhide. I don't know why they chose black. The arm, even the fists are black. It should have been molded as red as well as this. That would have been really, really nice. Okay, my biggest gripe about this figure in robot mode is, I think you can already see it, the plastic they used for the Earthrise Ironhide is, albeit done in matte finish, is a little cheap looking. It feels really cheap, much like a KO plastic. And if you feel it, it does feel slightly bendy compared to this one. This one's really hard and brittle type of plastic. It does a glossy finish, but this one just feels like it's from a KO, and I don't know how they could have remedied that. I wish they could have used a thicker kind of plastic. Even the gray bits feel a little bit, they're not soft, but they do feel soft compared to the marbled pearlesque finish that the Siege has. So in terms of quality, I think the Siege beats Earthrise. But overall aesthetic, overall look, in robot mode, I think the winner is the Earthrise Ironhide. Even the head sculpt, I really like the smoother lines with the Earthrise version. But in terms of the plastic, you can see a little bit more of a premium kind of plastic on the Siege figure. And so transformation, let's start with Prowl. What you want to do is you want to try and untab right here and here and here. Okay, hopefully this is an easier transformation than Blue Streak. From the way it feels, I don't think it's going to cause us too much trouble. Okay, do it like that. Rotate this piece right here. Fold up the heel spurs like that. Fold up the fillers like that. And then join the leg pieces together. And then fold up that entire leg assembly over his thighs, just like that. Like that. There's still some gaps, much like Blue Streak, but it actually folds a lot more flush with the Prowl version. Okay, so do the arms, fold them like this, rotate, rotate, fold inside, inward, like this. Hopefully the arms are gonna tab in better with this version of the mold. We'll see. Okay, and line them up, close the doors, tab. Spoke too soon. Okay, he doesn't want to tab, doesn't matter. And this one, does this one tab? Get 1 out of 2, yes. This one kind of tabs. No, it doesn't. No, it just won't tab in. I think it's a design flaw. The arms just don't want to tab onto the door panels. What I do like about this version is there's very little gaps compared to Blue Streak. It's a lot more flush. It sits nicely. The panels just fit nicely, or much nicer, on the Prowl figure. And then you can put this one here. As you can see, he's got the light bar. Very cool. That here, or you can put it here. You see also that the mold has the provisions for the shoulder cannons, which you can obviously transfer if you wanted to. But we'll take this off so you can appreciate the alt mode better. And here is Earthrise Prowl with Siege Prowl. And clearly, this is the clear winner. Absolutely loving the aesthetics of this police car. Take nothing away from the Siege Prowl figure. I mean, it was okay, but he just looks way too plain, way too futuristic, way too off-worldly, but has the aspects of the Datsun car bits. But this is the Prowl for me. I mean, look at that. Black wheels instead of the clear wheels. But they're still both good. I still am not uncertain as to what to do with my Siege Datsun brothers, now that I have all 3 of the Earthrise Datsun brothers. But yeah, very, very cool. On to Ironhide. Now, transforming him can be a little bit tricky because of this parts forming feature. Go ahead and open up his chest panel, fold down the head, fold back the backpack, and then fold the arms up like this. That. And you're going to join the forearms together, much like the Siege transformation. Go ahead and pop the sort of torso twist swivel like that, and pop that back down. And then close the front bumper, which was originally the backpack. And the arms are going to stay like that. Now what you want to do is the feet panels. Very familiar transformation. Open the leg pieces. Can feel flimsy. They're going to tab out once in a while. That's okay. Go ahead and tab the feet together. Put the arms here. Collapse them and then close in these panels just to lock the arms in. I'm going to tab these panels onto the arms, and the flimsiness of the plastic is really getting in the way of a proper transformation. It's a little difficult to just plug that in, but just do it that way. Okay, and there you go. Panels just untabbing. Easy peasy fix. Okay, put the panels here, tab them in like that. And then we're going to put the shield. Okay, what you want to do is you want to fold these out, and compress the blaster guns just like that. And then his weapon, put it right here in the middle. And you see a ton of pegs right there. They're all going to peg here onto the top side of the vehicle. And you just line them up so that they fold in nice and flush. Fold the windows. Just tab everything in. And then the windshield. And there you go. There is Ironhide in his Nissan Vanette or Nissan Cherry Vanette. Earth mode, alt mode. Some gaps here and there. But this is as good as it gets. Without really buying a masterpiece Ironhide figure, you can experience or appreciate a G1 styled Generations Ironhide figure with this figure. It rolls very nicely. Prowl. And here is Earthrise Ironhide together with the counterpart on the Siege line, the Siege Ironhide. Very cool, very similar. Again, in design, he's a little bit taller in terms of the height, but the Siege Ironhide is a tad bit longer, just by a hair. You can clearly see the quality of plastic superior on the Siege Ironhide compared to the Earthrise Ironhide. But both figures simply amazing. I actually don't know what to do with my Siege figures now that I have the Earthrise counterparts. They still look great despite being Cybertronian, and I'm torn. I thought it was an easy sell for me. Just get rid of them and then keep the Earthrise figures, but looks like I'll be hanging on to them. I don't know. Side by side with the Earthrise counterpart, these figures look absolutely amazing. I'm just so happy with what Hasbro's been giving us with the Generations line for the War for Cybertron Trilogy figures. Both for the Siege and Earthrise, they are all clear winners. And so some final thoughts on this set. The set is obviously going to get a 10 out of 10 for me. Some issues, some very minor issues with each figures, but I am so happy we've gotten the Earth mode versions of both Ironhide and Prowl. This set is an absolute must-have for all of you collecting the Earthrise and G1 styled Generations Transformers figures, particularly these two Autobots. What to do with the Siege figures? They're great in their own way, and I suggest if you really are a big fan of the War for Cybertron trilogy and you love the figures 100%, there's really no reason to get rid of them. I think the War for Cybertron trilogy offerings for both Siege and Earthrise figures are just absolutely brilliant from Hasbro and Takara Tomy. I could not ask for anything more. Well, maybe a few more characters from the G1 cartoon wouldn't hurt. But overall, very, very pleased, especially with these two figures. Let me know in the comment section what you think of these two figures or this 2-pack. Is it a disappointment for you? Are you excited to get it? Are you going to go hunt for it? Have you pre-ordered it? Let me know in the comment section what you think. And as always, hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of my latest video reviews. I hope you've enjoyed this video review. If it's your first time here, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. Please check out my Patreon account. Every bit of support counts. Any form you can help via Patreon. Everything starts at $3. If you want to help me, if you want to become a patron, I'll be very, very grateful. Every bit of support will really help me do more reviews on this YouTube channel. So thanks again, and I'll see you next time.